Hey, what is going on, YouTubers, and welcome to the 25th episode of ESGNet's presents Sports Gaming Soapbox Podcast Talk. Yeah, it's been a while since we've had a show, and we are back with a new season. This is season 2, and honestly, I've been itching to do this for quite some time now, and we're gonna get things going here. We got a lot of things to talk about here. Things like, for instance, LaVar Ball, or Ball, I should say, not Bell, but Ball. He has been in the news here as of late, especially about his him and his son's clothing line, Big Baller, where we're going to talk about that and how ridiculous, to be quite honest, how ridiculous he is about his son's possible draft, draft choice here for the NBA draft coming up next month. Also, we're going to talk about Mr. Colin Kaepernick or Kaepernick, excuse me. We're going to talk about Kaepernick and his possible return to the NFL. He could be. There's been some talk about him possibly coming back and going into the in the world of the NFL. Also, we got some news on the Mayweather versus Colin McGregor fight that everyone is talking about here. Has been making news all over. Oops, my bad. All over the internet and also in the social media and really in mainstream news also. And not to mention too, baseball season is full swing, or trying to get into full swing here. We're in the second month of this, or the first, about the first half or first month or so, roughly in the first month of the season, I guess you could say. We're going to talk about that. Also, and finally, we got some news on that Aaron Hernandez's fiancée speaks, and we'll tell you her thoughts, and I'll give you my thoughts about everything that I've just mentioned here today on the podcast. So, welcome to Sports Gamers Soapbox Podcast. Try to say that 10 times fast. All right, so let's go ahead and let's get into some news here. And let's go ahead and get to our first story. And this is one story that I just kind of shake my head at. Like, are you serious? All right. I want to talk about LaVar Ball or LaVar Ball and his crazy antics so far with his. It's hard for me to even say this, but or you can take it seriously. But what he says about his sons and his brand of clothing line. Now, Lonzo Ball, excuse me, I don't know why I keep saying Ball, is going to be or I should say Lonzo Ball. Let me say that. Former star or former NBA player. There's been some news about possibly his influence. A lot of people are asking about his influence that he could have possibly coming up here in the NBA draft coming up next month. Now, the new president of the Los Angeles Lakers, Magic Johnson. I just combine it, Magic Johnson and Kobe Bryant together. Wow. Anyway, Johnson says that Balls says that his it's not his influence or anything he thinks that he has. It's not gonna influence how him and the Lakers are going to draft. So basically, there's just because you say all this stuff about your son, we're gonna go our direction, our route, and how we want to draft our players for the future. Quote: This is a quote from Johnson, saying no effect at all, as he told ESPN this past week at the NBA Combine. He goes on to say, "I think we're going to draft. I think what you're drafting is the son and not the father. I think that if you are also gauge our evaluation of his son's abilities and what he can do not only on the basketball court but also what he can do for your team, how he can enhance and make your team better." And that's what it should be about. It should be about how can you make an impact on this team, not just on the court, but also on practice. Being a team player. I mean, this is a team sport, and yes, there are superstars on on the 30 teams of the NBA, and for the most part, I would almost say half of the NBA teams that you got out there play on a team morality. They have a team focus. I shouldn't say half. I shouldn't say that half play with as a team and half don't, because I mean, I don't know. Me personally, I don't know how those teams run on a daily basis and stuff like that. But to me, for the most part, you could tell there's teams out there that really are somewhat decent. They are somewhat put together, drawn up. And of course, you gotta have that X factor of things that are out of control. Freak injuries, money situation, because a lot of these teams don't have the capital like you would have with like the Lakers or like the Bulls and all those other high or New York, the Knicks or something like that. The teams that have money because they're in a well market, a well put out, in a. Well, I'm trying to think how you can say it. Like the market, they're in a well thought out market. There, so you got teams like from New York and LA and all those, big city, Boston, all those that have that money, and they can move and find guys and sign guys to contracts that are worth those contracts they have. So of course the NBA's lottery is going to be coming up, and of course the lottery is a chance of not necessarily the team with the worst record gets the first pick, but it's based off of just I think it was 14 teams are in this lottery. So you're looking at just about half of the teams that are in the NBA get a chance to have a shot at possibly getting the number one pick. And I forgot what the percentage are if you get the chances of you getting the number one pick, but not necessarily doesn't go to the worst team, because this all stems back from the times where you had teams that were just tanking on purpose to get a number one draft pick, and that's still being talked about today. Is that right? Does the NBA draft lottery work out? Is there, because there's a lot of teams that are saying, hey, this team is tanking on purpose because they want to get this certain player or whatever. So what they do is they have a envelope. Inside the envelope they have a number, and that number corresponds with where they're going to be drafted at. So just because you're the worst team in the NBA doesn't necessarily mean you're going to get the number one pick. The number one overall pick. So, I mean, you could be, having, I don't know, I can't think of a number off the top of my head, but just because you're the worst playing team, you're not guaranteed the number one pick. You could be the number 3 pick. You could be the number 4 pick. But anyway, going on to with that, by the looks of it, 76ers have are supposedly the team that could be getting the number one pick overall. And of course, there's been Lonzo it's been saying a lot of stuff about how his son should be, put in the category of greats like Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, and all. And I mean, that's fine. You want to talk about your son that way, that's all good and dandy. But now we got to come back to reality. The kid played for UCLA, a great basketball school there. One of the games I've seen him in this past year. There's a lot of teams that are looking at him and see him as a great talent. But at the end of the day, what team is willing to deal with the dad also? I mean, if Lonzo is sitting there and barking up the wrong tree and or I should say his LaVar Ball is barking up the wrong tree, and his son can't. You're ruining your son's chances of being with a basketball team. And who says that your son? And I'm not trying to wish upon bad things with him, but you guys sit here and think, what happens if your son doesn't live up to the hype of what you said for many months now. Now he has two other sons that are going to play. I think one of them I can't remember the other ones where he's playing. I can't remember what school he's at, but he does have a third son who's graduating high school, or I think it's supposed to be graduating. I have to look that up again. I'm not for sure, but he's their clothing line, of course. They got Big Baller brand. It's he wears these hats that have the triple B and stuff like that. And I don't know if you guys have seen, but this past, I think it was late last week, they were talking about the shoes. And the shoes, I mean, I've seen the shoes. The shoes look very nice. Look, I don't know. I mean, they look nice. I don't know if just because they look like doesn't mean they're comfortable. But to me, paying $527 for a pair of shoes with that name brand that just came out of nowhere, and their sons supposed to be wearing the shoes on the court and whatnot. What makes you think people are going to pay that amount of money? Especially, a lot of people were saying that their son's not as good as his dad's making him out to be. There's a core. I mean, I wouldn't even buy a pair of Jordans right now. I mean, I'm a big Michael Jordan fan. I grew up watching him playing basketball, seeing him with the Bulls and stuff. But I'm not gonna pay no $500 for a pair of shoes. Right there, that's rent money. I know some friends that they go out of their way. They save up. If that's your thing, they'll save up and buy money, or save up their money and buy a pair of shoes and like that. But you have to realize that there's a pair, there's Jordans come out every year. I can't see myself having, I know these same friends that have Jordans almost from every single year. It's like you realize you have like I have one friend, he has over I think he had close to, what was it, $30,000 worth of pairs of Jordans. And it's like you realize the money you're spending, like you're spending several $100s on pairs of shoes, and it's like I don't know, it is, to me, it's ridiculous. I don't get the whole thing. But anyway, anyway, Magic Johnson goes on to say, if you're fortunate to keep our pick, whatever that is, then you could take a look at him. They're willing to take a look at him, see what he's like. He goes on to say, just like any team who would be drafting in the top 4 or 5 would take a look at him and other players who are there. So it's not guaranteed that I think there's one report saying that the Lakers were a heavy consideration of possibly taking him in the first round. And that's rumors, of course. But you can't guarantee that. because you realize if he does whatever team he goes with, LaVar's going to be right there negotiating contract, trying to negotiate a contract. And depending on what teams, you got some owners that will not negotiate, hey, this is, what you get. This, you're going to get the, league rookie minimum. This is what you're going to get. And then, you get more if, once you start playing, getting games, and you start, there's certain benchmarks you have to go. You get bonuses and stuff like that as you work your way up. Playing, getting more minutes, scoring, depending on how much you score a game and all that kind of stuff. But like I said, I feel bad for the son, because now the son's gonna have to live up to the pressure that his dad's really pretty much just created, and now he's gonna have this black, dark, black cloud over his head, because he has to deal with, his dad promoting the brand, the Big Baller brand, and the shoes. Matter of fact, there's not just shoes, there's also sandals. I think the sandals are like $200 something, like $220 or $230 a piece, for a pair. Okay, good luck. I won't be buying them. But yeah, it's ridiculous of how, throughout the whole, for the last, was during the NCAA tournament, and even before that, he's been making all this stuff, saying all this stuff about his son and how popular his son is, and just recently he was on TV and he told I think it was on one, I can't remember what show it was, if it was on FS1 or if it was on ESPN, but one of the shows, he told the mediator, or the female host, that she asked him about the stuff, and he says, well, you couldn't afford them, basically just coming out saying, you can't, you don't want to talk about, and you couldn't afford these, and they're not meant for you, and all that. It's just like, wow, like you're you realize you're on national television and you're telling someone that who has a pretty good job, and I'm assuming she could afford them if she wanted to, which I really doubt. I think she's just laughing it off, like, okay, whatever, I've seen better, footwear, and especially at a cheaper price. Basically she was trying to help him out, and trying to help him promote his foot line, and I just kind of stretched my head like, this guy is an idiot. I don't get him. I really don't get him. And I don't know. Let me know down below in the comment section what you guys think about LaVar Ball and his thing about really hyping up his son. I can understand, you're a dad, your son has a good opportunity to play in the NBA just like you did, but yes, I get you want to believe that your child is special. I understand that. I totally do. But at the same time, you got to get a good grip of reality. There's a good chance that, heaven forbid, something happens to your kid. What happens then? Oh, that's right. You got another kid. You got two more kids to fall back on, to make money off of. And that's why I feel bad that their kids are just being taken for a ride and just being I can't think of the word now. I'm having a hard time with words today, trying to describe things. They're just honeypot for them, for at least for him. All he's thinking about is making money off his kid's talent, and when that talent dries up, what are you gonna do next? Okay. Let's go ahead and let's go move on here now to Colin Kaepernick, and of course, if you remember of last year, Kaepernick at the beginning of the season, he was in big protest because of course, of the elections. You got, of course, our, as I call him, the Fuhrer, Donald Trump, which is another show. We can talk about him and his policies and all that kind of stuff. Don't want to get into too much politics here. Try and change it up some this season, for the second season of the show. But he's been really, to me, Colin Kaepernick has not got the right recognition. He's been getting a lot of bad publicity, and now some of the media is now kind of realizing, hey, we didn't really listen to this guy. We didn't give too much of this guy a chance. And yeah, he did have a bad year with San Francisco, and I think, for quite honestly, the coach Chip Kelly, the way he plays football and stuff like that, didn't go with the type of style of Colin Kaepernick. And really, truly, I think Chip Kelly wanted his own type of quarterback in there, his own guy in there. But an advisor of a former 49ers quarterback, Colin Kaepernick, said that, quote, he's been contacted by 3 teams that are willing to inquire Kaepernick since free agency period began back in March. So there are teams that are willing to work with him and want him to come on the team, because honestly, the kid has an arm, you guys. I mean, for goodness sakes, he took the 49ers, 2 seasons ago, to the Super Bowl. They're in New Orleans against the Ravens. When's the last time we've seen the 49ers in the Super Bowl? It hasn't been since the days of Steve Young and Joe Montana. So that would be the 80s, mid 80s up to the early 90s. So you had, I don't know. I mean, I think people forget about what he has done and just worry about, what have you done here lately? And I mean, I'm totally guilty with that with certain players and stuff like that and everything. But Harry Edwards, a renowned psychologist and civil rights activist who mentored Kaepernick, told USA Today, quote, "I've asked, they've asked, can he play? Does he want to play?" And Edwards continues in the interview saying, "The last question I couldn't answer, but the first question, absolutely. Kaepernick has kept his mind, has made up his mind, and he wouldn't go in and make a team that he didn't feel like he could be a starter." And that's a guy, Henry Edwards. Like I said, Henry Edwards is a renowned psychologist and civil rights activist, and he's been mentoring Kaepernick and really helping out Kaepernick with a lot of again, trying to have a tough time with words today, helping him with with the foundations he started, with scholarships to young students, especially young African American students, helping them try to go to college, stuff like that, which he's been doing through the course of the year. He's been just really been, I mean, to be honest, he's been really charitable over this over the course of the season there. He's been helping out Kaepernick with it. Kaepernick, the 29-year-old, remains an unsigned free agent, opting out of his contract with the San Francisco 49ers back on March 3rd. It goes on to say, or Edwards goes on to say, "I don't think, or I should say, quote, I don't think there's any question that there's some owners we haven't had him in with the league, much less their team." He goes on to say, "But I fully expect one team to sign him because it is in the best interest of the league to have him on a team." And to be quite honest, I mean, yeah, has he had some personal problems on and off the field? Yes, he's had some problems with on the field problems. Of course, we've seen, one of the biggest issues was him not standing up during the national anthem, which honestly, I see a lot of people. I've been to a lot of, this past year I went to a lot of sporting events. I went to a NASCAR race, two NASCAR races. I went to Major League Baseball games and stuff like that, and football games. And really, truly, I've seen people that were right there I talked to several people on the there, and a lot of people are saying, I don't care what he does. He has his beliefs, I have mine. I just want to I just want to see him do well. If he's here, he's playing a game, I want to see him in the game. I want him to put on a really good game. And I was really shocked about this, talking to people about this. And I've had a lot of conversations with friends who go to several sporting events a year and stuff like that. And a lot of them say the same thing. I think. And to me, you have a platform like he does, and I think I said this before. When you have a platform like this, to me, it's important. If that's something that's near and dear to your heart, and you're trying to, you want to get people out there to say, hey, there is a problem in our streets. We got young men and women, particularly black males, getting shot at, and they're getting shot for no reason from from police and stuff like that, or being harassed by the police. That's something that needs to be addressed. And I think I've said this before. I totally agree with him. I don't care what anyone says. If that's his opinion or my opinion, and if you don't like it, well, that's that you could change the time. You could change the channel. You can go to another YouTube channel and follow that person. Him sitting down during the national anthem. You know what? More power to him. That's his way of speaking out, speaking against and trying to get hey, trying to show, hey, if you want, if we're all truly equal, we're all truly have the same rights, and that's what it needs to be. It needs to be equal rights and equal treatment when it comes to the legal system. Because be honest, in my personal opinion, there is a two-tier legal system. You're either white and rich, or you're poor and a minority. And then, to me, that's my personal opinion. You guys can say whatever you want. But to me, I think what he did this past season, I think it took a lot of courage. In which, in return, it got a lot of flack especially when you're not, when you're the outsider, and everyone, is you have to fit in this little bitty, this box, and if you don't fit things in that box, then people get upset and get crazy and just want to say, well, you're not American, or you're not this, or you're not that, and it's like I'm a lot more than you. I'm a lot more than what you think. So, but yeah, just quite honestly, I don't know. It's just with Kaepernick, I think it was just something that I think a lot of people just didn't understand, and they figured, well, you're rich, you're a minority, you're successful, you don't have those problems. Well, no, he does. He still has those problems. As long as he is the color of his skin still on him, if he's a dark complected man who is rich, he's gonna have those problems and a little bit more. Let's be honest with that. So, but yeah, of course, Kaepernick, he had some issues with some off the field stuff too, with his girlfriend. There was a woman he was dating there that was also dating reportedly another football player that was on the team. So he had some personal problems that he was going through and stuff like that. So, and then it goes with the territory. But honestly, I truly think with the talent that he has, and the abilities he has, and what he's done, he helped bring a team to the Super Bowl just not too long ago, 2 or 3 seasons before this. really think there is going to be a team that they're going to sign. Now, will he be a starter? Probably not. There's a good chance. I will say that he will probably not be a starter. But will he be back on the NFL field again? I believe so. I really do. But yeah, Kaepernick played 11 games last season. Of course, he was benched for a good portion of the season there because of his performance. A lot of people thought because of his political statement, but really it's because of his performance, which he did play. He had a bad season. But 1-10 as a starter, passer rating of 90.7. And of course that was the passer rating that was the best in the last 3 years. Ranked 17th in the NFL. His 4-1 touchdown to interception ratio was tied for 6th. He had 468 rushing yards, second among quarterbacks, and he had a 6.78 yards per carry, ranking first. But his completion rating was was just under 60%, which was ranked 26th in the NFL last season. So there's more to the story there. You guys can read more about it. There's a link down below, really, to every story that I'm talking about here today, in the comments or the description here in the video. All right, let's go ahead and let's move on now to the story that a lot of gamers are talking about. So this is Sports Gamer Talk podcast or Sports Gamers podcast talk, or Soapbox pod. So I don't know. We're gonna figure out a name eventually for this. We're gonna shorten the name here at some point. Just announced this past week here. 3 months after getting his 5th Super Bowl ring, the one and only Tom Brady, cheater, the New England quarterback for the New England Patriots, will be this year's cover boy for Madden NFL 18, becoming the oldest player to appear on the cover of the popular video game. So Tom Brady is going to be on the cover. Now, he will turn 40 in August, and of course that's when the game will make, or was it late July, early August, the game will come out. And he just grew up actually several miles there from Electronic Arts there in California, San Mateo, California, to be exact. He's been I guess they picked him because his Super Bowl wins that he had this past year and whatnot. Brady, according to Ian O'Connor from ESPN.com, he asked him what came about it, and Brady said that, "I thought how cool it is how cool it is to do this, knowing that I'm a kid in high school and I was tagging along down there, working out and basically talk about that he actually lived just down the street from the Electronic Arts, or the original EA building where they originally started back in the there in the early 90s. He knows that, he knows the building. He's familiar with the area because he used to work out there. I guess there was a gym right down the street from him. And of course, he said that he grew up playing the game, but now since being older, he's played less and less of. But his son Jack loves to play, and so much so that he likes to beat up his dad. So, hey, I like beating up your dad also too. So, he goes on to say, they talk about how Gronkowski this past year was the cover boy this year. So that's 2 years in a row now that a NFL team or a NFL team of the same players from the same team, or players from the same team, have been back-to-back years. So Gronkowski this past year, and then of course Brady next year. But yeah, I mean, of course, then they going into more about the Madden curse, and of course Brady says he doesn't believe in it. And of course he was asked about, do you think Gronk ever been cursed by anything? Of course Brady says no. Gronk was in really good shape this year, and all this that. So, but yeah, there's an article down below. You got or a link down below. You guys can read the article more and more. He talks about more about the game and whatnot, and how the game this season, or how next year he's been into the game a little bit more. But Brady, he's gonna be 40 years old. He's gonna be one of the oldest quarterbacks out there. And a lot of people say this could be his final year. I mean, this is he's been playing this long, and there's a good chance that he could end up calling quits here after the season. So, I have my personal feelings about Tom Brady. I think there's no denying it. You guys go back and listen to all the other past podcasts and we talk about Brady or anything like that. I'll give his due. He stepped up at the right time. It's all about opportunity, and he did when of course when Bledsoe was down. That season, of course, would have been his last season that Bledsoe was ever played on the field. I mean, how do I feel about Tom Brady on there? Nah, I think they could have picked somebody else. I'd rather see Matt Ryan. I mean, look what he did last season with the Falcons compared to the season before. The season before they had a rough time there. They had a really hot start there, and then also they just went flat. This year, I mean, they were hot. They stayed hot. They started hot, and then they pretty much stayed hot throughout the regular season. Losing a game here and there, but then they're in the playoffs. I mean, they were just on fire, and then of course the Super Bowl game red hot, and then just a complete meltdown. The last half of that Super Bowl game. So, but yeah, I really think Matt Ryan could have been on the cover last year. I don't know. Just hopefully this year Madden will be great. We'll talk more about that and the new features stuff like that in coming weeks here. When they release more stuff about that. So, but yeah, Madden 18, your cover boy, is no other than Tom Brady. So, all right, and now we are going to move on here, and let's talk about a former Patriots player by the name of Aaron Hernandez. Now, I don't like to disrespect the dead. Of course, if you guys remember. Just a couple weeks ago, or at least about a month ago, really, it hasn't been that long ago, that Aaron Hernandez was found not guilty for I believe he was found guilty for a murder that happened, that he was involved in or whatever. But then he had another charges up for another trial for a murder prior to the murder that he actually was convicted of. He was seen. What was it? It was let's see. Hernandez was serving a life sentence without parole after being convicted of a 2013 murder of Orlin Lloyd. The conviction was formally vacated May 9th by a Massachusetts judge. Because he died before the appeal was heard. Now, he was on trial for a 2012 double murder that took place in Boston, but was acquitted on April 14th, 5 days before his death by suicide. And unfortunately, Aaron Hernandez was found dead shortly after that, was found dead in his jail cell. Now, does Aaron Hernandez deserve to be in prison for what he did? Yes, I truly believe this, and that he deserved to be in jail. And when it comes to suicide, There's different. I, I think there's different ways of suicide. There's guilt. There's just hopelessness. But with Aaron Hernandez, I really think that the reason why he committed suicide, he killed himself, was I don't think he was realizing that he was going to be facing some real time, and going to be in jail for, what was it, a life sentence. So I just to me, him doing that was just a sign of guilt. He thought he was not going to get away with it, and then when he realized when the chips were played, and he was signed, his sentence was signed, sealed, and delivered. He just, I think reality just finally snapped into him. Because to me, anytime they showed him on TV, he just seemed like a real, I don't know. I'm trying to be sensitive about this issue, but at the same time, just trying to be honest about this. But he seemed like he was going to get away with it. And I feel the person I feel bad for the most is his he has I believe a daughter. That she'll never have her father around. But Shayna Jenkins Hernandez said her fiance, of course, former New England tight end, believed that he was going to be free from prison. Part of the Associated Press, Jenkins Hernandez said during an upcoming appearance on the Dr. Phil show that Hernandez said that. Dr. Phil appeared on Dr. Phil, and that Hernandez said, "quote Daddy's going to be home. I can't wait to hold you and love you." And of course, that was during a phone conversation shortly before he was found dead in his cell. And I guess this episode of Dr. Phil has already been, I think it's already aired or it's about to air. But yeah, it just, to me, if you, I don't know, he committed murder. And to me, anytime when someone commits a crime and they end up going to jail and they're doing a serious jail time, I think when, that shock just comes over them, and, they think the only way to get out of it is to kill themselves. I mean, that to me that's just a coward's way of trying to get around something like that. And I really feel that I feel like I don't have, I honestly I can't have to say I don't have respect for him. I mean, for what he has done to those families that have now lost someone, and he couldn't even be a man enough to do the time, knowing he did it, he tried to get away with it, and then turn around. I just feel that it's just dirty that he did. He committed suicide and not doing his time like he should be. But there's an article down there from the Bleacher Report. It's a really good read there about Aaron Hernandez's fiance and what she says about her. What she says about him and what about their daughter and stuff like that, about him being freed at some point, and and whatnot. And honestly, I mean, he like I said, he was serving, he's going to be serving a life sentence without no parole. I mean, I don't see him getting out. I mean, there's no way of him getting out unless he knew, or there was something, evidence that was being shown that he wasn't involved in that murder or whatever. But I mean, the people of the state of Massachusetts said otherwise. They see him as the key guy that was, part of that murder until something else comes up. I mean, I don't know what else to say. But yeah, when I read about that, I could not believe that was true, because it's just like, wow, like, did that just really happen? Like, but I mean, my thoughts are it's really up to the family that lost. They lost their son, their father or brother or whatever to him because of his actions that he had on that night of the murder. So, but let's go ahead and switch gears here and let's talk about something a little less dramatic. Coming up here in about several months from now, I think. I don't think they haven't made a date just yet, but they've been in talks, and that is Mayweather versus McGregor. All right, so UFC president Dana White has stated intentions of trying to get some negotiations started for a possible boxing match between Floyd Mayweather and Conor McGregor, saying this past Sunday, absolutely, and his deadline to wrap up the deal with McGregor before beginning talks with Mayweather's team. So apparently, if you guys have been paying attention to this, there's been some talks first with McGregor and his camp about how they're going to negotiate, how they're going to split the revenue and all that kind of stuff, along with Mayweather's team. This is of course what Dana White said on Jim Rohn's radio show this past last Thursday. He says, quote, "I plan on having this thing locked up by Sunday, and then move it on to Team Mayweather and start negotiating with them." He continues on going to say that if we really do get it done in that time frame, this could be a possibly could happen. Now, the rumors that I've heard, or at least what I've read on a lot of different sites, is that they're trying to have the fight somewhere around sometime in late summer. So you're looking at a possible August-September type of fight. And of course, that depends on both sides can negotiate and come with terms of agreeing to who gets what when it comes to the when it comes to box office and all that kind of stuff. It goes on to say that White hopes to sit down and negotiate with Mayweather's team on Monday, adding that he, quote, feels pretty good about reaching an agreement with the former pound-for-pound boxing king. White continues to says, quote, "I just can't keep messing with this thing. I need to run my business, and I have to focus on other things that we're going on around here." So, of course, UFC, during the summertime, they have their events coming up every month, their UFC fights, he's a busy man. I mean, he has all these fighters that he has to negotiate also with for other UFC promotions and television and pay-per-views and all that kind of stuff. So, but it says that McGregor in April, White said that he was on board with McGregor's desire to fight Mayweather in a boxing match, and thinking the difficult part of negotiations would come from the Mayweather side. Which is true. I mean, honestly, Mayweather is going to want, if he loses, he's going to want twice as more than he would if he lost, or something crazy. He's just going to ask for a ridiculous amount of money, anything just to really, slow down or even get this fight even to go. White has estimated that McGregor's payday would be a potential fight with Mayweather at $75 million, which would dwarf any amount McGregor has made in the UFC, whether he is a lightweight champion. McGregor, meanwhile, has previously thrown out a number of $100 million to fight Mayweather. So, with these negotiations talk, at least by the sounds of it, he's got something with McGregor. It's just now we got to worry about Mayweather and see what Mayweather wants, and see if they can negotiate something reasonable for it. So, I mean, honestly, if he's still in talks, we're not going to see talks. We're not going to see this fight if we ever do see this fight. Probably not until it wouldn't be until late. I don't know, probably late 2017, probably into 2018, because Mayweather, he's the type of person, he just wants to delay things and delay things and delay things, and not really, or if we ever would see this fight. I mean, if this fight ever happens, I would definitely pay money to see this. I would definitely pay to really, see, this fight go on, and I'd be McGregor all the way. I mean, just to shut up Mayweather and just put him in his place, I would be McGregor, Team McGregor all the way. So, I would like to see this fight, but the chances of this fight ever happening, I don't know. It's slim to none. Let's just put it that way. I mean, I don't know. What do you guys think? Let me know down below in the comment section what you guys think of today's show. We're going to try to wrap this up here. A lot of times the show is not going to... I'm going to try my best to keep the show under an hour. But we're, we're just about under an hour here. So, but yeah, that's how the season's going to be. Season 2, I'm hoping to have at least 2 of these podcasts a week. One on Saturday mornings, and then again on we'll have another one hopefully on Wednesday afternoon. So that'll be something you guys can look forward to during the week here on ESGNet. So just some soapbox talk. Just get on my soapbox here, talk about sports and talk about sports gaming and all that kind of stuff out there. So just let me know what you guys think about all this stuff going on in the comment section. If there's a story or some news in sports that you guys want me to cover that I haven't covered, let me know. Leave the story or whatever it is, or send me a message through private messaging or something like that here on YouTube. And also, if you have the link to it, let me give me the link so I can check it out and read the article. Because I always want to talk about something that it's not being covered in mainstream media or ESPN, anything mainstream media or whatnot. So we can talk about it and we can discuss it. So I give you my thoughts on it. So that is it for this week for this podcast, you guys. Stay tuned for another podcast coming up on Wednesday, as this was going to be up on Saturday morning. So stay tuned for another podcast coming up on Wednesday. And like I said, we're going to try to do 2 a week here as much as we can. Of course, anything could happen. Life is unexpected a lot of times. So anything could change, and I'll let you guys know. Just follow us on Facebook and Twitter for any late breaking news on any changes to the podcast or anything going on here with the channel. So thank you guys so much for watching. As always, keep yourselves together healthy. And again, all the links down below are all the stories we've talked about here today. You guys can check those out. And I will see you guys next time.